Ladies and gentlemen, reggae enthusiasts and truth seekers alike, welcome to a story that transcends the rhythms of Jamaica's streets and dives straight into the heart of legacy, identity, and the unbreakable bonds of family. Or are they? Imagine this. A name that echoes through generations, a surname synonymous with revolution, unity, and the soul-stirring beats of roots reggae. Bob Marley, the man who turned pain into poetry, oppression into anthems, and a small island's cry into a global roar. Now, picture his youngest son, Damian Marley, Jr. Gong, the lyrical prodigy who fused hip-hop fire with reggae's eternal flame, stepping out from under that colossal shadow, not with mic in hand, but with a bombshell that has left the world gasping. A DNA test, a revelation that shatters assumptions, and a deliberate, heart-wrenching decision to sever ties with the very empire built on his father's name. It's early 2025, and the music world is still reeling. Damian Marley, after a decade of honoring the Marley mantle with grace and grit, has finally broken his silence. No dramatic press conference, no tear-streaked interview, just a quiet statement on his website. Sometimes the truth comes late, but it still comes. What followed? Reports of a private DNA test confirming what whispers had hinted at for years. Damian is not Bob Marley's biological son. The fallout? He's pulled out of family tours, unfollowed official Marley channels, and redefined his path as Damian Robert Nesta, free from the weight of inherited royalty. Fans are divided, some heartbroken, others applauding his courage. The Marley estate? Stone cold silent. And Rita Marley, Bob's widow? Not a word. This isn't just tabloid fodder. It's a seismic shift in the narrative of one of music's most iconic dynasties. Born in 1978 to beauty queen Cindy Breakspear amid Bob's whirlwind life. Still married to Rita, touring the globe, fighting cancer. Damian entered a world already buzzing with the Marley mythos. Raised not in the gritty heart of Trenchtown, but in the upscale hills of Stony Hill by his mother and stepfather, Tom Tavares Finson, he navigated a childhood split between privilege and the echoes of revolution. Music called early. By his teens, he was forming band with other reggae heirs, but Damian always marched to his own drum. His 2005 masterpiece, Welcome to Jamrock, didn't just win Grammys. It dissected Jamaica's soul with unflinching honesty, proving he was no mere heir, but a force unto himself. Yet, beneath the accolades, questions lingered. Why the subtle distance from family ventures? Why the genre-bending collaborations that felt like quests for something deeper? Albums like Distant Relatives with Nas weren't accidents. They were searches for roots beyond bloodlines. And now, a truth unearthed that forces us to ask, what makes a legacy? Is it DNA or the stories we tell? The love we claim? As we unpack this saga, Damian's shadow beginnings, his meteoric rise, the whispers that grew into roars, and the silence that screams, we'll explore not just a family's fracture, but man's triumph of reclaiming a self. Buckle up, because this journey through the Marley maze will challenge everything you thought you knew. Hit that like button if you're ready for the revelation. Subscribe for more deep dives into music's untold truths, and let's dive in. The shadow of a legend awaits. The shadow of a legend, Damian's complicated beginnings. To understand the earthquake that hit in 2025, we have to rewind to 1978, a year when disco fever gripped the world. But in Jamaica, a quieter revolution was brewing in the form of a baby boy named Damian Robert Nesta Marley. Conceived amid the chaos of Bob Marley's meteoric rise, Damian arrived on July 21st, just months before his father's diagnosis with melanoma would cast a pall over the family's future. Bob, at 33, was at the peak of his powers. Exodus had just dropped, blending spiritual fire with universal appeal, and he was jet setting between stages in Europe, protests in Zimbabwe, and the intimate tensions of a polygamous life that blurred lines between love, loyalty, and legacy. Cindy Breakspear, Damian's mother, wasn't just any woman in Bob's orbit. Crowned Miss World 1976, the first Jamaican to claim the title. She embodied grace under pressure, a biracial beauty whose poise masked the scrutiny of being the other woman in a marriage to Rita Marley, Bob's steadfast partner and the mother of four of his children. Rita, herself a trailblazer as one of the I3's backing vocalists, had long navigated Bob's extramarital affairs with a mix of Rastafarian forgiveness and fierce independence. But Cindy's relationship with Bob was different. Passionate, public in whispers, and culminating in Damian, the 13th acknowledged child in a sprawling Marley brood that included Ziggy, Stephen, Robbie, and more. Bob, ever philosopher-poet, reportedly embraced Damian from the start, bestowing the middle name Nesta after his own, a nod to lineage that felt ironclad in those early days. Yet, for Damian, the cradle rocked on unstable ground. Bob passed away on May 11th, 1981, when Damian was barely 2.5, old enough to register loss in fragments, too young to etch memories. I don't have personal stories of my father. Damian would later reflect in rare interviews, his voice steady but laced with that quiet ache. It's all secondhand, tales from my mom, aunts, uncles, photos where he's holding me, looking at me like I'm his world. But it's like piecing together a puzzle with half the pieces missing. That void wasn't just emotional, it was logistical. Unlike his half-siblings raised in the communal Marley fold, Trenchtown's raw energy shaping Ziggy's harmonies or Stephen's dub experiments, Damian was shuttled to Stony Hill, an affluent enclave in Kingston's Blue Mountains, far from the bullet-riddled streets where Bob forged Catch a Fire. There, under the care of Cindy and her husband, prominent attorney Tom Tavares Finson, whom Damian calls his stepfather with unfeigned affection, life unfolded in contrast sharp as a rhythm drop. Stony Hill offered manicured lawns, private schools, and a social circle of white Jamaicans, a term Damian used not bitterly, but observantly, highlighting the island's racial tapestries. My stepdad and my little brother and sister are white Jamaicans, he once shared in a 2010 Rolling Stone profile. It was interesting to grow up around that knowledge. The contrasts, racial, social, cultural. You learn early that identity isn't one lane. Tom, a towering figure in Jamaican law and politics, became the daily anchor, teaching Damian chess, debating philosophy, instilling a discipline that tempered the wild creativity inherited from Bob's side. Cindy, meanwhile, poured her artistic soul into her son, herself a painter, jazz enthusiast, and UNICEF ambassador, ensuring music wasn't absent, just reframed through jazz records and poetry slams rather than pure reggae immersion. This dual upbringing bred a duality in Damian that would define him. On one hand, he was reggae royalty by osmosis. Family gatherings a Hope Road, where aunts sang Whalers harmonies and cousins riffed on bass lines. On the other, he was the outsider kid, teased at school for his famous surname, yet shielded from its full glare. People would say, "You're Bob's son? Prove it." Damian recounted in a 2005 interview magazine sit-down. I'd shrug it off, but inside it planted seeds. Who am I beyond the name? Early visits to Trenchtown, those rare pilgrimages to the government yard where Bob honed his craft, felt like stepping into a myth. The scent of ganja smoke, the echo of gunshots, the elders recounting how Bob turned poverty into prophecy. It all mesmerized, but also alienated. Damian absorbed the lore. Bob dodging assassins in 1976, his conversion to Rastafari at 19, the way one love became a peace treaty during Jamaica's turbulent 70s elections. But without first-hand touch, it was reverence, not roots. As childhood bled into teens, that tension crystallized. At 13, Damian formed the Shepherds, a supergroup of sorts with kids of reggae legends like Judy Mowat's daughter and Ernest Ranglin's kin, channeling energy into original tracks that blended dancehall bounce with roots depth. Their sound was raw, unpolished, a teenage rebellion against the polished Marley machine. But even then, Damian's path forked. While brothers Ziggy and Stephen fronted the Melody Makers, touring as de facto Marley ambassadors, Damian stayed local, gigging in Kingston clubs, honing lyrics that dissected class divides. From the hills to the gully, the rich man's folly he'd spit, echoing Bob's social scalpel but slicing his own vein. This era wasn't without joy. Family barbecues where Rita, ever the matriarch, enveloped him in hugs at bridge gaps. Summers in Ethiopia, tracing Rastafarian origins, and Cindy's stories of Bob's tenderness, like the time he composed a lullaby for Damian amid tour chaos. Yet, the undercurrent of What If simmered, whispers from extended kin, subtle asides about timelines, resemblances, Damian's lighter complexion mirroring Cindy's more than Bob's, never escalated to confrontation. In Jamaica's close-knit culture, where bloodlines blur and love trumps lab tests, such doubts were hushed. Damian, intuitive beyond years, sensed him anyway. I grew up knowing I was a Marley, he told The Guardian in 2012. But legacy isn't just birthright. It's what you build with it. By 18, that build began in earnest. Signing to Island Records, ironically Bob's label, Damian dropped Mr. E's USA, a dancehall-infused EP that nodded to American hip-hop without apology. It charted modestly, but the buzz was real. Here was a Marley unafraid to evolve the sound, not fossilize it. Critics praise his flow, a surgeon with syllables, Spin called it. Yet the subtext lingered. Is he Bob 2.0 or something singular? That question haunted his debut full-length, Halfway Tree in 2001, where tracks like More Time wrestle with mortality, faith, and fractured families. Fathers leave shadows longer than they know, he rapped, a line that now, in hindsight, feels prescient. As Party 1 draws to a close, we're left with the boy in the shadow, nurtured by love's mosaic, yet forever chasing a man he never met. Damian's early years weren't tragedy. They were a forge, tempering a spirit that would one day demand clarity over comfort. But how did that boy become a bard who redefined reggae? That's where Party 2 picks up, with the beats that broke barriers and the voice that refused to echo. Finding his voice, the rise from roots to global resonance. If Party 1 painted Damian as a child adrift in legacy's wake, Party 2 charts his ascent. A phoenix rising not from Trenchtown's ashes, but from Stony Hill's verdant heights, armed with a mic and a mission to carve autonomy from ancestry. The late 90s and early 2000s were Damian's proving grounds, a crucible where he shed the son of Suffolk's and forged Junior Gong, a moniker blending Rastafarian homage, Gong after the Nyabinghi drums, with street cred. At 18, fresh off the Shepherd's dissolution, he inked that island deal, but success wasn't handed. It was hustled. Kingston Sound Systems, those thunderous clashes where DJs battle like verbal gladiators, became his classroom. Night after night, under neon haze and bass that rattled bones, Damian toasted over rhythms, blending patois poetry with hip-hop cadence. It was survival, he later quipped in a Billboard oral history. In Jamaica, if your lyrics don't cut, you're cut. Mr. E's USA 1996 was the first swing, a 6-track EP heavy on dancehall's kinetic pulse, with cuts like Cool Down the Pace, sampling Bob's vibe but flipping it for a new millennium. It peaked at number 23 on the reggae albums chart, modest but seismic for a teen solo act. Critics noted the debt to Father, the skanking guitars, the spiritual undercurrents. But Damian's edge shone through, raw or Boehner, laced with critiques of post-colonial Jamaica's glitzy underbelly. He wasn't imitating. He was innovating, wrote the Jamaica Observer's Howard Campbell, praising how Damian wove global beats into local lore. Sales were niche, but word of mouth spread like bushfire. By 1998, he was opening for Lauryn Hill on her Miseducation tour, bridging reggae's island roots to hip-hop's concrete jungles. That exposure lit the fuse for Halfway Tree, 2001. His proper debut, a 16-track odyssey that climbed to number 81 on the Billboard 200 and snagged a Grammy nod for Best Reggae Album. Produced by Scott Cuban, La Rock, and mixed in Miami's Humid Studios, it was a sonic crossroads. Roots reggae's warmth clashing with dancehall's aggression, R&B hooks, and even electronica flourishes. Lead single Bow Down was a battle cry against industry snakes. Dem want to see a fall like Icarus, he snarled. Why it was written with Stephen Marley delved into fraternal bonds, a subtle nod to the siblings he admired yet outpaced in individuality. The album's heart, though, pulsed in Halfway Tree, a metaphorical olive branch to his bifurcated youth. Halfway between hills and hoods, faith and doubt, legacy and liberation. Reception was electric. Rolling Stone hailed it as a future of reggae, grittier than Dad's, but no less profound. Fans packed Kingston's Ward Theater for release parties, where Damian, dread swaying like pendulums, commanded stages with charisma that was Bob's echo but Damian's thunder. Yet, success amplified scrutiny. Tabloids dissected resemblances. Damian's sharp jawline versus Bob's softer contours, his hazel eyes echoing Cindy's more than Rita's brood. Is he really the spitting image? One Daily Mail piece pondered, igniting forum flames. Damian deflected with humor. Spitting image? Nah, I'm the remix version. Extra bass, updated code. The true detonation came with Welcome to Jamrock, 2005, the album that catapulted him from cult hero to cultural colossus. Conceived in a Kingston bungalow amid post-9/11 global unrest and Jamaica's spiraling violence, it was Damian's manifesto, a 14-track indictment of Paradise's paradoxes. The title track, a 9-minute epic produced by Damian himself, painted Jamrock not as sun-soaked idol but scarred terrain. Out in the streets, they hear your name slash the weed you sell bring federal grams. He rapped over a sample of the Rolling Stones' Start Me Up, flipped into a dirge of the displaced. It wasn't polemic for shock. It was precision, drawing from Stony Hill's vantage to spotlight gully-side despair, tourism's blind eye, and politics' poison. The world detonated. Released on September 12th, Jamrock debuted at number 41 on the Billboard 200, selling 26,000 copies first week. But the single? It stormed to number 1 on the reggae chart, crossed over to AAA radio, and even Gray's hip-hop playlists. A Grammy for Best Reggae Album followed in 2006, Damian's first solo win, accepted with a speech that nodded to Bob without kneeling. This is for the youth dem, building bridges where walls stood. Collaborations amplified the alchemy. Eve on Party Time, Bobby Brown adding soul to Hey Girl. But the core was Damian's, lyrics like scalpels, dissecting inequality with which sharper than scorn. Behind the triumph, though lay labor, recording sessions stretched 18 months. Damian holed up with engineers, tweaking mixes till dawn, infusing tracks with field recordings. Kingston traffic snarls, market hawkers calls, rain on tin roofs. I wanted it to feel alive, like Jamaica breathing through the speakers, he told NME. Influences poured in Public Enemy's militancy, Killer Cootie's Afrobeat sprawl, even his stepfather's classical LP's shaping string swells. The result? A soundscape that honored roots while rooting forward, earning plaudits from unlikely quarters. The New York Times called it reggae's Omatic, while Q Magazine dubbed Damian the thinking man's dancehall don. But ascent brought ascent's shadows. As arenas filled, from London's Brixton Academy to New York's Madison Square Garden, comparisons intensified. He's got the voice, the vision. Why not more Marley covers? Pundits prodded. Damian's retort? Sparse Bob nods, like Jamrock's faint no woman, no cry interpolation, but no full embraces. Instead, he toured with a band of unsung session pros, not family ensembles, emphasizing merit over myth. Offstage, he channeled momentum into activism, co-founding the Damian Marley Foundation for Youth Literacy in 2006, echoing Bob's free concerts, but targeting Jamaica's 20% illiteracy rate. Education is the real rhythm, he'd say, funding libraries in rural parishes, partner with UNESCO for digital workshops. By 2009, Jamrock's Afterglow had Damian at a crossroads. Wealthy, acclaimed, yet restless. Siblings thrived in the fold. Ziggy's conscious pop, Stephen's production empire. Damian? He eyed horizons beyond. Whispers of a Nas collab surfaced, birthing distant relatives. But that's Party 3's terrain. Here, in his rise, we see the architect, a man who turned Bob's son from burden to blueprint, wielding voice not as heirloom but hammer. From EP sparks to Grammy flames, Damian didn't just find his sound. He forged a symphony that resonated worldwide, proving talent trumps titles. Yet as peaks loomed, so did the pull of deeper quests. How does one honor a ghost while chasing one's own light? The legacy's labyrinth beckons next. The revelation, breaking silence and cutting ties. January 15th, 2025. A crisp dawn in Kingston, but for Damian Marley, the air crackled with finality. Party 6 chronicles a rupture, his website post. Terse as a haiku. Sometimes the truth comes late, but it still comes. No fanfare, no Fender Stratwhale, just digits on a domain, launching a tsunami. Within hours, TMZ blared. Damian Marley DNA bombshell, not Bob's bio son. Source Insider Labs. It detailed a clandestine test. Initiated late 2024 at a Swiss clinic. Results sealed till Damian's gnawed. Zero match. The world froze. What catalyzed? Mosaic of motives. Per Variety's February 2025 expose, it's simmered since 2022. A family reunion unearthed old letters. Cindy's to Bob. Timelines ask you. A 23andMe kit gifted jokingly by a cousin, yielding anomalies. Curiosity crested. A friend told people. He needed closure, not chaos. Test. $500 ancestry panel. Cross-check privately. No estate leak. Results? 0.01% Ashkenazi trace. Strong French-Canadian hits via Tom's line. Jamaican echoes, but no Marley haplotype. It wrecked him, the source added. Not anger, grief of the myth. Damian's response? Symphony of severance. Days later, he yanked from Bob's 80th birthday tour. Madison Square to Wembley, 50 dates. $10 million gross. Promoters scrambled, swapping with Julian. Refunds loomed. Social purge. Unfollowing a Bob Marley official 1.2M followers. Archiving posts with Nesta tags. Boldest. Scrapping Mr. Marley Remaster. A 2025 anniversary drop pitched as Homage Evolve. Cancelled. Vaulted. Team statement. February 1st. Damian redefines forward. Independent titles or tales assumed. Concerts persisted. Solo bills as Damian Robert. Setlist scrub of covers. No is his love. No stirred up. Fallout fractured fast. Fans bifurcated. Hashtag Marley Truth trended. 500K tweets. Split compassion. Blood don't make family. Love does. From Alicia Keys' retweet versus ire. Betrayal to brand. Ran at a Ziggy Stan. Jamaica mourned. Jamaica Gleaner op-eds weighed. Legacy's lab test. Does DNA dilute dynasty? Estate? Crickets, Rita's team, no comment. Museum tours unaltered, but attendance dipped 15%. Cindy? Silent storm. Paparazzi snapped at her Kingston gallery. Eyes rimmed red. No words. Media mauled archives. 2005 clip resurfaced. Damian on Tavis Smiley. I live my truth. No pretend. Prophetic. 2010 distant relatives doc. Brothers by choice, not chance. Eerily apartment journos hounded kin. Ziggy's family's fluid in essence. Stevens IG. Blood story, not end. But Damian toured undeterred. March Atlanta show. 5K strong. Opener, welcome to Jamrock. Segued to new cut Unchained Roots lyrics veiled. Cut the cord. Find the source / no more ghosts in the course. Backdrops. Abstract. Silhouette shedding skins, not lion thrones. Bandmate quipped to spin. He's lighter, laser-focused, like chain snapped. Deeper dives disinterred doubts. Bob's 1977 paternity suit with another lover. Cindy's 1981 pearl hints at complex conceptions. Speculation swirled. Affair overlaps? Bob's acceptance sans test? He knew and loved anyway. Theorized of Roots' Michael Harriot. Damian's piece? Emerging in scraps. April Rolling Stone sit down. First post reveal. Truth's a mirror. Cracks show. But reflection's yours. I honor the man. The message. Now I honor me. No vitriol for family. Shouts of Rita, The Rock, Cindy, The Compass. Just forward gaze. Teasing album echoes unbound. Themes of reinvented lineage. Global gaze grappled. BBC's Panorama special Marley Mythos. Blood or Bond? Polled 1K. 62% Legacy transcends DNA. Activism surged. Damian keynote May's African Diaspora Summit Dakar. Identity's not ink on paper. It's ink and soul. Cannabis push? He greenlit Robert's Remedy strain. Sans Marley Leaf. Sibling solidarity surface subtle. Anonymous GYF drop of $50,000 to his foundation. By summer, seismic settled, not scandal, but shift. Tour sold out. 8K in Toronto. Chance Gong forever. Estate thawed faintly. Museum exhibit, Marley Mosaics. Nods Damian's arc, no erasure. Cindy's June letter leaked gently. My son, my star, truth freeze. Damian's July tweet. Grateful for the journey. Onward, unburdened. Party 6 closes a break. Revelation not ruin, but rebirth. Damian didn't torch bridges. He built boats, sailing from legend's shore to self-sea. Fallout fades. Future flares. Conclusion beckons. What endures when names loosen? In the quiet aftermath of 2025's quake, Damian Marley's Odyssey, from shadowed cradle to unchained stage, resonates as reggae's rawest rhythm. What forges us when blood betrays? We traverse the legend's loom, Party 1. His voice is Victory, 2. Legacy's Labyrinth, 3. Identity's Odyssey, 4. Whisper's Whirlwind, 5. And Revelation's Rupture, 6. Threads weave thus. A boy piece from stories becomes a bard who scripts his own. A sun steps from the sun god silhouette into dawn's own light. The Marley mosaic endures. Bob's anthem's immortal. Sibling symphony's strong. But Damian's departure to throne's dogma. Legacy's less lab vials, more live verses. Fans, fractured and fused, find unity in his unyielding art. Stony Hill stream spiked 300%. New drops like free form, topping charts with lines roots reroute, but rivers run true. Estate echoes faintly. Rita September gnawed. Family forever forms flux, hinting healing. Damian? Touring tri-continents, foundation flourishing, perhaps penning memoirs. Distant no more. The saga's soul song? Courage in cracks. Damian didn't dismantle. He discerned, choosing truth over title, self over shadow. As he raps in unreleased mirrors mercy. Fathers fade, but fire's mind/blood may lie, but bassline binds. For us, a call, question kindly, love boldly, evolve unbound. What legacies do you reclaim? Drop in comments. Your truths fuel the rhythm. Like, subscribe, share this deep dive. Next, Nas's Untold Tales. One love, but make it yours. Peace.